Before we became parents, people told us, enjoy traveling now because once you have kids, it's all over. Well, we didn't listen.
Instead, we packed the diapers, grabbed the passports, and set off to travel as often as we could.
Join us on this episode as we share our journey to Greece, our best tips for traveling with a little one, and why exploring the world as parents isn't just possible, it can be unforgettable. Our family trip to Greece was 9 days of pure adventure. We visited Santorini, Paros, and Athens, and each stop was chosen for a reason. Santorini for its iconic views and sunsets, Paros for its quieter local charm, and Athens for the history, culture, and the food. 3 destinations, 1 unforgettable trip. For Santorini, the biggest decision you will need to make is where to stay. For us, we debated for weeks over staying in Fira or Oia, the 2 most famous spots on the island. Oia is gorgeous, no doubt, but it's also more remote, pricier, more crowded, and a little trickier to get in and out of. We wanted a spot that would let us easily explore the whole island without long transfer times or juggling bus schedules with nap times. Fira, being right in the center, made perfect sense. It's the island's transportation hub, meaning buses and taxis to other parts of Santorini are far more accessible. Plus, there's no shortage of restaurants, shops, and those stunning caldera views right outside of your door. We based ourselves here for 3 nights and booked through Airbnb. It turned out to be the perfect choice for our little family, as our temporary home came with free breakfast and the kindest staff who also helped arrange transportation from the airport. We visited in April, and honestly, I think it's one of the best months to be here. The island isn't overcrowded yet, the temperatures are mild, great for a baby who's not a fan of the sweltering heat, and the hotel rates are much better than in the summer peak. The only disappointment that we could find was that the water was too cold to swim in, as the sea doesn't get warmer until late May. Santorini itself is a place that feels almost unreal. The entire island was shaped by a massive volcano eruption around 1600 BC, and the cliffs that we're standing on were literally the walls of a volcano. The famous white buildings with blue domes, they're designed to reflect the heat and match the colors of the Greek flag. One of the best parts is the locals. Every single person that we met was warm, kind, and genuinely happy to see a baby in town. Waiters would play peekaboo with our daughter, and one shop owner even gave Millie a magnet of Jesus on the cross as a blessing over her. It made us feel welcomed in a way that we really felt stuck with us, and quite frankly, we weren't expecting. Now, what you've heard about Santorini is true. There are a lot of stairs. Big stairs, small stairs, winding stairs. Stairs that make you question your fitness level. If you're thinking that you can use a stroller here, you can't. Unless your idea of a good workout is a 45-minute stair climb holding an upper baby over your head, stick to a carrier. My calves still haven't forgiven me. Of course, the main event in Santorini is the sunset, and wow, they lived up to the hype. From our spot in Fira, the sky melted into layers of orange, pink, and purple over the caldera. My wife and I sat there with our daughter thinking this is one of those moments that we're going to tell her about when she's older. Our host even joined us for a bit with a complimentary dessert wine in hand to celebrate us visiting and share some stories of his time living on the island. These are the moments that always are the most memorable for us. On day 2, we took a taxi to Oia, the most photographed village on the island. It's where you'll find those postcard perfect shots of whitewashed buildings spilling down over the cliffside. And yes, it's just as magical in person. From Fira to Oia, our taxi ride cost around $25 and was about 20 minutes long. However, you can take a bus for a fraction of that price. We spent the whole day wandering narrow streets, ducking into little shops, and eating far too much melopita, which is essentially a feta cheese and honey pie. I know it sounds really odd. It's just one of those things that you need to trust us on. I was wanting to go back for seconds time and time again. On our 3rd day, we stayed closer to home in Fira. We went to our favorite restaurant called Pelican Kipos to enjoy some freshly caught fish before roaming the town and doing some window shopping. After that, the girls went back for a nap while I decided to tackle a hike to Skaros Rock. The rock headland was once a medieval fortress protecting the island from pirate attacks. Today, it's just an incredible place for views. Standing there, you can see the caldera stretch endlessly in both directions, and I couldn't help but think how small we looked against something so ancient and vast. It's humbling, in between catching your breath from the climb. Santorini was stunning, challenging, thank you stairs, and completely worth it. We left with full hearts, tired legs, and a daughter who now thinks watching sunsets is part of the bedtime routine.
Leaving Santorini meant our next adventure was just a ferry ride away. We booked our tickets with Sea Jets, which turned out to be a really smooth process. Literally just a few clicks here and there online, and we were set and ready to go. On departure day, we headed down to the Santorini port to get ready for the 1 hour and 45-minute trip to Paros. The whole process at the port was so simple and easy, and while we waited for boarding, there is a close-by convenience store that we picked up a postcard, we wrote a quick note home, and we dropped it at the port's mailbox before we left. Once on board, we found plenty of comfortable seating and even a snack bar, which came in handy because we still needed our morning coffee, and we grabbed a few treats as well. The sea, however, was a bit choppy that day, and JD had to learn the hard way that taking Dramamine before a trip like that might be a good idea, especially if you're prone to sea sickness. Sorry, JD. Paros is one of those Greek islands that feels so authentic and genuine without feeling like they're trying too hard. The villages are filled with whitewashed homes, narrow streets that you can explore entirely on foot. In fact, one of our favorite things about the city center in Paros is how walkable it is. You can literally stroll from the waterfront to some cafes, then go shopping, and the beaches are right there as well, and you honestly can do that all in a pair of sandals, which is so perfect. We decided to rent a car for about 2.5 days, and surprisingly, it was really affordable. It's less than $90 total. That gave us the freedom to explore the island, which only takes about 2.5 hours to navigate from start to finish. Instead of staying in the busy city center of Paros, we actually made our home base with some family friends in Aliki. It's a quiet village, but seriously, it's actually a quiet fishing village on the southern coast. It's so beautiful. It gave us a peek into island life beyond the tourist spots, and of course it came with that famous Greek hospitality that we came to know and love. Like Santorini, the food here is incredible. We ate at the same restaurant twice, which is huge for us if you know us, and enjoyed the freshest mussels and octopus we've ever had. Greek restaurants are also extremely accommodating. You can often find grilled veggies, rice, and plain pasta for little ones to enjoy. In the mornings, we went to the sweetest local bakery. It was quaint and cute, and it was filled with the most beautiful pastries and breads and cakes, pies, you name it, they had it. It was awesome. After purchasing a few sweets, the staff even went above and beyond and gave Millie a couple of free croissants to enjoy. It was so sweet of them, and Millie certainly loved their gift. Now, the sunsets in Aliki were softer than they were in Santorini, but they were just as breathtaking. The harbor turns this golden color, the sky is soft pinks and reds, and then the boats look like silhouettes while they're coming in for the night. Aliki and Paros were perfect for taking things slow. It's where we let our daughter wobble along the cobblestones, we took nightly walks along the beaches there. It was just so nice to relax and enjoy one of the quieter islands of Greece. It was peaceful, beautiful, and exactly the recharge we needed before heading to our final stop, Athens.
We hopped on a 3-hour ferry ride from Paros to Athens. We decided to stay in the city center for this leg of the trip, walking distance to most of the big sites, easy access to restaurants, and let's be honest, less time hauling strollers on public transit. We booked our stay through Airbnb, and the host even arranged for a driver to pick us up at the port, which was one less thing to think about while wrangling a stroller, diaper bag, and our wandering curiosity. Before coming, we'd heard mixed reviews about Athens. Some people swore it was too busy, too dirty, or even unsafe. But honestly, we found it fantastic, even with a young baby. Of course, like any big city, you've got to keep an eye out for pickpockets, especially in busy squares and public transit. And there are a few sketchy side streets that you might want to skip. But overall, Athens felt like an open-air museum that we could stroll through. The thing that really surprised us, you can see the Acropolis from almost anywhere in Athens. It's like the city's way of saying, hey, remember why you're here. Now, if you're planning to see multiple historic sites in Athens, grab a combo ticket directly off the Acropolis website. It covers the Acropolis plus several other landmarks for one price, and it'll save you both money and time waiting in line for tickets. On day 2, we started with the Acropolis Museum, an absolute must visit. Pro tip, don't miss the section under the museum. There's an entire ancient neighborhood preserved below the building. The entrance is outside, down a ramp off to the side, so it's super easy to miss if you're not looking for it. From there, we wandered through the streets, soaking in the sounds of local vendors and musicians. Athens has this way of making every corner feel like a little cultural festival. Next, we jumped on a hop-on, hop-off bus, except we didn't exactly hop off. In fact, we actually got on the wrong route. 2.5 hours later, we'd taken a surprise scenic tour of the Athens coast. Honestly, it was beautiful, but let's just say that we saw more seaside suburbs than we had planned. Moral of the story, double check the bus color before boarding. We wrapped the day exploring Plaka, one of the city's oldest neighborhoods, before upholding one of our favorite European traditions, finding Chinese food. Couldn't tell you why, it's just our thing. We started our final day at a little coffee shop that we'd walked past a few times. The owner was incredible, warm, loud, and so proud of his craft. He kept bringing us free sweets and pastries to try, and I kept saying yes. Besides, Millie loved the attention, I loved the caffeine, so everyone was happy. After that, we checked out the Temple of Zeus. Our honest take, unless you're really into archaeology, you can probably save your money and admire it from the street. We strolled through the National Garden before heading to watch the changing of the guards at the Hellenic Parliament. Fun fact, this ceremonial tradition honors Greece's fallen soldiers, and the guards' unique uniforms, complete with pom-pom shoes, date back to the 19th century. Up next, the local markets, and when I say markets, I mean full sensory overload. Fresh meat hanging off hooks, barrels of olives, mountains of spices, and rows of trinkets as far as you could see. We made a quick stop at the Roman Agora, which once served as the central market of ancient Athens. If you stand there long enough, you can almost picture the merchants shouting prices and the bustle of trade from centuries ago. Finally, we made the climb up the Acropolis, the crown jewel of Athens. Even from the bottom of the hike, you can feel the weight of history here. This has been the center of Greek life for over 2,500 years. As a quick note, no strollers are allowed, so if you're traveling with a baby, bring a carrier. Trust me, trying to lug a stroller up there anyways would end a marriage. At the top, the Parthenon dominates the scene. Towering columns, weathered but strong, standing as a symbol of the golden age of Athens. Nearby is the Temple of Athena Nike, dedicated to the goddess of victory, and the ancient theater of Dionysus, where the world's first plays were performed. Our daughter loved looking at the columns and waving at strangers. Turns out, ruins make a great social scene for babies. Now, even though we came in a cooler month like April, there's almost no shade, so hats, sunscreens, and plenty of water is a must. It was one of our favorite travel days ever, not just for the sights, but for the feeling of standing in the middle of so much history and realizing how lucky we are to experience it together.
And just like that, our 8-night adventure through Santorini, Paros, and Athens came to an end. 3 destinations, countless memories, and more proof that traveling with a baby isn't impossible. It's just a little louder, messier, and somehow so much better than before.